My name is Elias Thorne, and for over 3 decades, I've dedicated my life to the wild heart of Skull Island. As a wildlife conservationist and the elder of our remote village, nestled in the shadow of its mist-shrouded mountains, I've tracked creatures that most people dismiss as myths. Giant apes, shadowy legends whispered around campfires. I've seen glimpses, felt their presence in the trembling earth. But nothing prepared me for what happened that fateful day. Our village clings to the edge of the forbidden jungle, a dense labyrinth of towering vines and ancient trees where the air hangs heavy with the scent of damp earth and hidden dangers. Taboos passed down through generations warn us, venture too deep and you tempt the spirits of the island. The beasts there aren't just animals. They're guardians, forces of nature itself. Lately, though, something had shifted. Whispers among the villagers spoke of a massive python slithering through the undergrowth, its scales like armored shadows, crushing everything in its path. It had already claimed livestock from our outer fields, and the elders feared it would soon turn its hunger toward us. The roars at night, they weren't the usual echoes of the wild. They were pained, desperate, like a giant in agony. I knew the rules, no solo treks into the heart of the jungle. It was suicide, they said, and as village leader I enforced that law myself. But I couldn't ignore it. Not after what happened to my family years ago, torn away by a similar monster in the dark. That loss burned in me, a vow etched into my soul. Protect this place no matter the cost. So one dawn, with the mist still clinging to the leaves, I slipped away alone, machete in hand, following those haunting cries. Little did I know I was about to cross paths with a legend and rewrite the fate of my village. The jungle swallowed me whole as I pushed deeper, the canopy above blotting out the sun, turning the world into a green twilight alive with the hum of insects and the distant calls of unseen birds. Vines snagged at my clothes, roots tripped my steps, but those roars pulled me forward like a siren's song, raw, thunderous, laced with pain. My heart pounded, a mix of excitement and dread. I'd tracked predators before, but this felt different, heavier, like the island itself was testing me. Sweat stung my eyes, the humid air thick in my lungs, carrying the faint metallic tang of blood. Then through a break in the foliage I saw it, a colossal python, its body as thick as a tree trunk, coils wrapped around a massive form that shook the ground with every desperate thrash. King Kong, the legend made flesh, his fur matted with sweat and blood, eyes wild with fury and exhaustion. He was enormous, a mountain of muscle and might, but the serpent had him pinned, its fangs sunk deep into his shoulder, squeezing the life from him inch by inch. Fear gripped me like those coils. Stories painted Kong as a destroyer, a force that could crush villages in rage. Why intervene? My mind screamed to run, to save myself or the people who depended on me. But watching him fight, his massive fists pounding futilely against the unyielding scales, something stirred, a recognition of shared struggle, of a guardian cornered by a mindless killer. If the python won, it would emerge stronger, hungrier, and our village lay in its path. No turning back now. I gripped my machete tighter, my breath shallow, pulse roaring in my ears. With a silent prayer to the island spirits, I charged forward, slashing at the serpent's tail to draw its attention. The ground quaked as Kong roared louder, the python hissing in fury, its head whipping toward me with eyes like cold voids. I was in it now, no escape. The frenzy erupted, branches snapping, earth churning, and I knew this fight could end me. But I couldn't stop. Time seemed to stretch, the chaos slowing to a heartbeat's rhythm as I dodged the python's striking head, my machete biting into its flesh with a sickening thud. Blood sprayed, hot and sticky, mixing with the mud underfoot, the air filled with the acrid stench of reptilian fury and Kong's guttural growls. With one final desperate swing, fueled by every ounce of strength I had left, I severed the coil that bound him tightest, the serpent's grip faltering just enough. And Kong exploded free, his massive frame shaking the trees as he rose, chest heaving, eyes locking onto mine. I froze, expecting the end, his wrath turned on the puny human who dared approach. But instead, Oh God, instead he paused, that colossal hand extending slowly, palm up, as if offering peace. Trembling, I reached out, my fingers brushing against his rough, warm fur, feeling the steady thrum of his pulse beneath, like the heartbeat of the island itself. His eyes, deep pools of ancient wisdom, held mine. No rage, only a quiet acknowledgement, a bond forged in that frozen instant. The jungle fell silent, not a leaf stirring, our breaths sinking in the heavy air, the subtle rumble in his chest vibrating through me, a thank you deeper than words. Gently, impossibly, he scooped me up, cradling my exhausted body like a fragile treasure, carrying me through the undergrowth toward the village's edge, his steps careful, deliberate. He set me down at the tree line, vanishing into the shadows with a final glance. But that night, as storm clouds gathered and the river swelled, threatening to swallow our homes in a raging flood, the ground trembled again. Kong emerged from the darkness, his silhouette massive against the lightning, and with raw power he uprooted trees, piled boulders, diverting the waters in a feat that saved everything we held dear. It was impossible, miraculous, a guardian repaying a debt in the most profound way. I stumbled back into the village as dawn broke, my clothes torn, body bruised, the taste of jungle mud still on my lips. And the villagers rushed to me, their faces a blur of shock and concern. "Elias, what happened?" they cried, helping me to the central fire where the elders gathered, eyes wide as I recounted the tale. The python's coils, Kong's gaze, the river's salvation. Skepticism hung in the air at first, but then they saw the evidence, enormous footprints stamped into the earth like craters, trees uprooted along the redirected riverbed, branches snapped high above where no human could reach. Word spread like wildfire, and soon my fellow conservationists arrived. Veterinarians from the mainland, scientists with their notebooks and cameras drawn by the rumors. They examined the site, piecing together the puzzle. Kong had been weakened by old wounds from poachers' traps, scars hidden under his fur, making him vulnerable to the python's ambush. But more astonishing, they uncovered ancient tribal carvings in hidden caves nearby, depicting alliances between our ancestors and the great apes, symbiotic guardians, humans offering food in lean times, apes defending against invaders. It wasn't just magic. It was history, a forgotten bond rekindled. Photos captured the footprint's scale. Samples of fur and scale confirmed the battle, and experts nodded in a mix of awe and logic, declaring it a rare convergence of instinct and intelligence. "This changes everything," one vet murmured, staring at the carvings. "It's not myth, it's evolution, a shared survival." Their validation turned whispers into truth, blending the island's mysteries with science's steady hand, making the unbelievable feel grounded, real, and forever etched in our collective memory. Years have passed since that day, but the echo of it lingers in every corner of our village, now thriving, its fields greener, its people bolder, under an unspoken protection that feels eternal. The story exploded beyond our shores. Media crews descended, turning my tale into headlines that circled the globe. "Man saves Kong, legend saves village." It sparked a wave of conservation efforts, funds pouring in to protect Skull Island's wilds, scientific papers dissecting interspecies bonds, proving that compassion crosses even the widest divides. My life transformed. I stepped fully into advocacy, founding the Thorn Sanctuary, a haven where humans and wildlife coexist, teaching the world about harmony over conquest. But the true legacy unfolds in quiet moments. Now grey, streaking my hair, I return to the jungle's edge, the mist cool on my skin, the distant roars a familiar lullaby. There, on a ridge bathed in sunset, I spot him, a silhouette against the fading light, Kong watching over us still, his presence a silent vow. It hits me then, the weight of that bond, tears blurring my vision as I whisper thanks to the wind. One act of bravery, one leap of faith, and worlds collide in beauty. This isn't just my story. It's a reminder for us all. In a world of walls, empathy builds bridges. Reach out, risk it, and you might forge connections that defy the impossible. Compassion isn't weakness. It's the greatest strength we share, and in that truth, miracles await.